first conference finals since the bubble season. As for Phoenix, it's the second straight year they are eliminated from the postseason in a one-sided loss. And as a result, yesterday, they make the big change, parting ways with their head coach, Monty Williams. Adrian Wojnarowski back with us. That, I don't suppose it came as a shocking decision by the organization, but he's such a well-respected coach. What more can you tell us about the whole situation?
Hey, Greeny, I'm told that Matt Ishbia, the new Phoenix owner, never really took to Monty Williams from the time he was approved as owner. Right away made the Kevin Durant trade with Brooklyn, which he largely negotiated and executed himself. And then after that 30-point loss in Game 6 to Denver, it was Matt Ishbia again who effectively is overseeing basketball operations. Their general manager, James Jones, his influence has been diminished there. This is a Matt Ishbia production right now, and this is not a move that comes with risk. And Monty Williams, who resurrected this Suns franchise, they were a laughingstock before he took over. Coach of the Year, led him to the NBA Finals, franchise record 64 wins 2 seasons ago, and then without Chris Paul, without DeAndre Ayton in that Game 6, lose to the 1-seed Nuggets. 3 years, over $20 million left on Monty Williams' contract, and they have a team now in Phoenix that is going to be very limited. We talked about this the other night of how they can build off of this roster. I think Monty Williams knew that once that Kevin Durant trade happened, there was additional significant pressure on him. And now there's pressure on Matt Ishbia and this Phoenix organization as they go out into the marketplace. You could expect them to pursue big names. I don't think they're bringing in an assistant coach or somebody who hasn't been a head coach to coach Durant, Booker, potentially Chris Paul in that team. I think you look at names potentially like Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer to start with among coaches who are available and are championship coaches. But this is a decision that comes with a lot of risk for Matt Ishbia. Monty Williams is considered and has proven to be one of the elite coaches in the league.
Oh, absolutely. It shouldn't be hard for him to find new work if he wants it. The one thing that will not be easy to do will be for the Suns to remake their roster in any meaningful way because they have a lot of money tied up into just a few players. They have $147 million, to be exact, committed to Durant, Booker, Ayton, and CP3 next season, assuming that all of those return. Paul's deal is partially guaranteed, but becomes fully guaranteed at the end of June. And, of course, as a result of the KD trade, the Suns have several of their first-round picks going to Brooklyn, including this year. So, again, as I described it, and Stephen A. Smith has joined us as well here, as I described it, not necessarily a shocking move, but he is such a well-respected person. Do you think that this exit here, was this a justified move by the Suns, making Monty Williams, for lack of a better way of putting it, the fall guy for this disappointment?
Well, I don't think he's perceived as the fall guy. I think that when you have new ownership, people want to make their own imprint. That's number one. Ishbia arrives in there. He's not the guy that hired Monty Williams as the head coach. He wants to move this franchise in a different direction and really establish his own identity as opposed to emulating anything that Sarver, his predecessor, did. Having said that, I'm going to say something right here, right now for the national airwaves that people might shun at. DeAndre Ayton got Monty Williams fired. I'm going to say that. DeAndre Ayton got Monty Williams fired because when you see the level of tension that exists, when you see the lack of effort he put forth, when you saw the extra that they had to put in just to get him to be on board, when you saw how he got schooled by Nikola Jokic and how this is the same guy that Monty Williams had such a problem with last season that he benched him in the postseason for significant minutes en route to ultimately getting blown out by the Dallas Mavericks in that Game 7, the fact that you couldn't get him on board, I think ultimately cost them, because if DeAndre Ayton is playing up to snuff, you might have lost, but you don't get annihilated where you're down 30 in a Game 7. You don't get blown out and blitzed by the Dallas Mavericks by 33. You're not down damn near 40 points by the Denver Nuggets in a closeout Game 6. If a guy like DeAndre Ayton shows up and gives you anything close to what he's capable capable of. You see that? Those are the kind of things that lead to a decision like this being made. And I'm going to say it one last time. DeAndre Ayton, of course, Monty Williams, his job.
Michael Wilbon is in Scottsdale, Arizona, hence the cacti behind him. Michael, how about it? What is you're as close to this team as can be. What's your reaction to the decision they made yesterday?
I knew it was coming, and that doesn't mean that I like it. Look, my primary residence, Greeny, as you and Jalen and Stephen A. have known for the last 40 years, is Washington, D.C. I've been following Monty Williams' career since he was in high school, all his life, all his adult life. He is not liked. He is beloved. No one is throwing a parade around here because Monty Williams is gone. He did a heck of a job. Remember, the Suns couldn't even make the playoffs. And they get into the bubble. They have a great finish there. They go to the finals the next year. They have the #1 seed last year. Stephen A. is right to a degree, in my opinion. Ayton is a big part of this. But when you lose games at home, and here's why it wasn't surprising. When you get blown out by essentially 30-plus points in closeout playoff games on your home court, and you got the stars you have, somebody's going to be held accountable for that. And with a new owner, yes, Matt Ishbia is going to go in whatever direction he wants to. So this was not going to end well. When they lost the game the way they did to Denver the other night, I mean, the discussion then was, wow, Monty's not even going to make it through the week. And, of course, he didn't. He'll have a job immediately. And the question is now, how attractive, with some of the things Woj outlined, how attractive is the Suns' job going to be? I think with Durant and Booker, it's still going to be very attractive. But Monty Williams, nobody's applauding here that Monty Williams is gone. But they never figured out what the heck happened emotionally. Not X's and O's. They never figured out what happened last year in a blowout. It happens again. The coach is going to be the, yes, Greeny, fall guy.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment. We'll have more on that as we continue. Meanwhile, renewal of one of the great rivalries in American sports. For the 8th time, it's the Sixers and Celtics in a Game 7, most between any two franchises. The last time was 2012. Boston, then coached by Doc Rivers, won that series and went on to the conference final. Speaking of Doc Rivers, he's coaching in his 16th Game 7, most of anyone all time. He's lost 9 of those. That's 4 more than any other coach in history. Sixers looking for a different result today, looking for their first conference finals appearance since 2001. Celtics are seeking their 5th conference final over the last 7 years. And we welcome in the rest of our panel here. Jalen Rose is with us. Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. will join us in just a matter of moments. But Michael, let me start with you. What is at stake for the Sixers in this Game 7 after their loss Thursday night when they could have closed it out at home?
Yeah, I think we had a similar question about the Suns a couple of days ago, and I think my answer, and I wasn't trying to be flip, was, let's see, employment. And that's, that's what happens. We see what happened out here in the desert already and what's going on. In Philadelphia, I don't know that it would be that quick or definitive, but when you hear that a team has been in the second round, the semifinals, and trying to get to the next round, 4 of the last 5, 5 of the last 6, on and on and on and on, and haven't gotten through, then even though the same people are not responsible for that, there are going to be changes made. People in sports are very impatient. Today's owners, they have spent a lot of money. They want return on investment, both financially and sort of the social status that all of this brings, to a metropolitan area like Philadelphia. So everything's at stake. I hate legacy talk. I really do, when we're in the present and people have resumes, not just legacies. But with Joel Embiid, the prime of his career now in his late 20s, James Harden having played so many times in big games in the playoffs and not been able to ultimately cash in. Everything for a lot of guys, Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, James Harden at the top of that list, Daryl Morey, it's at stake, everything.
For the Philadelphia side, enormous, Jalen.
The official end of the process, Greeny, grand opening, grand closing, and let me chronicle it for everyone. The Sixers actually got lucky with Joel Embiid because he was injured the year he got drafted and fell to them at number 3. But let me tell you what they did the years following that. 2015, they took Jahlil Okafor number 3. 2016, they took Ben Simmons, number 1. The year after that, they traded up to number 1 to draft Markelle Fultz instead of taking Jason Tatum. Got fleeced by Danny Ainge. The year after that, they drafted Mikal Bridges, whose mom worked for the team.